Hidden cars and quarries. In 2016, one of the Belgian teachers who was passionate about urban exploration decided to visit a quarry located in the central part of France. After wandering around abandoned caves for several hours, he discovered something special. His eyes literally saw a scrapyard embedded in the rock. Several dozen cars lined up one behind the other in a long underground corridor. It turned out that these vehicles were hidden at the beginning of World War II when their owner feared confiscation. So he decided to use an unusual method of protection, which consisted in hiding them deep underground. After the war ended, the cars remained forgotten for over 70 years, gradually rusting into oblivion. Currently, the cars are in such a sorry condition that extracting them from the quarry would be unprofitable. They will probably remain there forever, silent witnesses of the past. Giant stone balls in Russia. Perfectly spherical rocks are scattered on the inaccessible northern part of Franz Josef Land. Their regular shape and size suggest human interference, but scientists confirm their natural origin. These unusual rock formations still stun geologists, and each researcher puts forward their own theories about them. The Russian polar explorer Viktor Boyarsky describes these peculiar creations of nature. Made of soft sandstone, the balls break into smaller pieces over time. The largest specimen on the island, 5 meters in diameter, is gradually eroding. Next to it are hundreds of smaller balls with different textures, colors, and sizes. The origin of these stone balls is still a mystery. The island has never been inhabited, and their regular shapes exclude the random effects of nature. Scientists put forward various hypotheses, including glacial deposits or undersea volcanic eruptions. The mysterious spheres of Franz Josef Land still tempt researchers and ignite the imagination. Perhaps one day the secret of their creation will be discovered, and light will be shed on their history. Jesus Boat. In the hot summer of 1985, the water level in the Sea of Galilee dropped to a record low. It's a great time to explore the lake bed, so two local brothers decided to walk along the partially exposed bottom. At first they didn't find anything interesting, but after some time they noticed something mysterious. An oval shape of an object embedded in the mud, which later turned out to be an ancient boat. The boat has impressive dimensions, 8.2 meters long and 2.3 meters wide. As news of the valuable find spread, it began to be called the Jesus Boat. Of course, there is the unlikely possibility that Jesus himself traveled on this boat, but Bible scholars are trying to find evidence to support this. Nevertheless, the mere fact of finding this boat is extremely valuable, allowing us to travel back 2 millennia and imagine life on the Sea of Galilee. Conservation work on the boat lasted a total of 14 years, but after its completion, it was made available to the public for viewing. Unfinished Obelisk. In Aswan, Egypt, we can find the so-called unfinished obelisk. The obelisk dates back to around 1500 BC and is irrefutable proof that the Egyptians were already able to use complex stoneworking tools in those years. Its size is simply astonishing. If the Egyptians had managed to finish it, it would have been over 42 meters tall and weighed almost 1,200 tons. Mysterious Disc. A Russian archaeological expedition made an extraordinary discovery near Volgograd. During the work, a huge stone that looked like a disc was unearthed there. Scientists have examined the stone disc, and it turns out that solving the disc's origins may be much more difficult than people think. The stone contains large amounts of tungsten and was created about 1 million years ago. Tungsten is a very hard and fire-resistant metal, widely used by the military. The most interesting thing about all this is that it is obtained by isolating it from a mineral, so it is almost impossible for it to appear in the rock. Bird's leg, A group of archaeologists found an incredibly well-preserved leg of a bird from the Moa family in a cave on Mount Owen in New Zealand. After testing its DNA, it was found that it may be over 3,000 years old. However, the most interesting thing about the find is that a Japanese scientist, Dr. Yasuyuki Shinorota, after taking a DNA sample, stated that it is possible to breed a prehistoric bird using a chicken embryo. A network of gigantic ruts carved in the rocks by unknown, unimaginably heavy vehicles has been discovered in Turkey. Surprisingly, geological research has shown that these ruts may be up to several thousand years old. Scientists hypothesize that these traces were created by an intelligent race. According to researchers, these traces could not have been made by ordinary horse-drawn carriages. Their depth reaches up to a meter, and their walls have characteristic scratches resembling traces of wheel axles. Although the discoverer is aware of the controversial nature of his hypothesis, he firmly states, "There is a high probability that we are dealing with evidence of the existence of a civilization that developed on Earth before the advent of the human era. Perhaps these prehistoric beings were significantly different from us." Moreover, similar traces were discovered in other parts of the world, in Malta. The discovery of ruts in Turkey opens the door to a fascinating but disturbing world. Who were the creators of these giant ruts? What technologies did they use? And what happened to their civilization? Cooper Case, the hero of the only unsolved mystery related to the hijacking of a passenger plane. In 1971, a man hijacked a Boeing 727 with 42 people on board in the USA. And after receiving $200,000 in ransom, he jumped out of it with a parachute over the southern Cascade Mountains. The man could never be caught. The Cooper case has baffled government agencies and private investigators for decades. Any new information in the case always led to a dead end. In March 2008, a breakthrough occurred when children found a parachute in an area where Cooper probably jumped out. However, it turned out to be a dead end as well. Red rain. This is a previously unexplained phenomenon in the Indian state of Kerala. The rain falling there at that time was reddish-brown in color and contained mysterious cells. According to residents of the state, on the morning of 2001, that is, on the day when unusual rainfall was recorded for the first time, thunder was heard, which some interpret as a meteorite falling. In 2010, an article was published describing the latest discovery. Cells from Kerala start multiplying at a temperature of 120 degrees Celsius, in which no other organisms could survive. This means that such conditions are the most favorable for them. So far, it has not been possible to determine what these mysterious organisms are or where they come from found in drops of red rain. Many circumstantial evidence points to their extraterrestrial origin. SS Orang Medan. In 1947, an SOS signal was sent from a Dutch ship. When the first rescue team arrived, they saw the bodies of the sailors with grimaces of terror frozen on their faces. An interesting fact is that no injuries or the slightest traces of struggle were found on the bodies, and the ship was not damaged. When the rescue team returned to their vessel, the ship quickly exploded and went to the bottom. Independent researchers have been trying to explain the mystery of this disaster for years. However, no one has yet managed to find any rational explanation for this tragedy. That's all for today. Take care and see you next time.